appreciate you all being here, giving me your time. And what I'm going to talk about today is a part of my life that is the most difficult part of my life. And the chapter is so dark that I have put it off for several weeks. I knew the first of the year the Lord wanted me to do this series, and about how I became a Christian all the way up to now being a minister. But I knew the minute that he said to do it, this would be the hardest one to talk about. But let me tell you now, it was 16 years ago, so I am in a wonderful place in all facets of my life now. So here goes. In May of 2005, I began feeling very depressed and sick and angry and bitter at the Lord. And I had lost a dear friend 2 years earlier. He had the world by the tail, as they say. He was full of life. He was handsome. He was about to begin a new career. He had everything going for him, and he was killed in a car accident. It's one of the hardest phone calls I've ever got in my life. In early May 2005, I got a phone call that my cousin, just 2 weeks after giving birth to her second child, she had died of a brain aneurysm. I was angry at the Lord for taking her, for taking Coley, and not taking me. I did not feel like I had anything to live for, because the plans I had for my life, they were not coming forth. I thought by the time I was turning 29, I would have a husband and kids, and my life would be exactly as I had planned it since the time I was 5 years old. But it was anything but that. She had just had her second baby. Her first one was 5, and she left a 2-week-old. I thought, I have nothing to live for. Why, God, did you take her and not me? And I was very, very angry. But my depression didn't start just because of Karen's death and Coley's death. It had started because I was disobedient about dealing with my issues from childhood, my feelings toward my mom, the brokenness of my marriage and other relationships. But to the world looking in, they thought I had everything figured out. They thought I had a perfect life. I had a beautiful new home that I bought. I had finished college. I had a wonderful job. I had lots of friends and family, and I was very civic oriented, so my calendar was full. If there was an event happening in Gadsden, I was there. To the outside world, they would have just never known what was truly going on in my life. That happens most of the time when people go through depression and thoughts of suicide. I was brought up in a home that you did not talk about your problems. You sucked it up, you put on your face, and you went out, and you didn't let the world see you breaking. You did your crying away from everyone else. You stayed strong and you just pushed forward. Well, I did that for most of my life, but at 29 I could no longer do that. As my therapist later would say, you were putting all the pain in the garbage and all the disappointment and the brokenness and disappointment and the mistakes all like down in a garbage can, and you just kept pushing it down and pushing it down. And because I was so busy and so focused on the plan I had for my life and not the plan that God had for my life. It just kept going and going until one day it just came to an abrupt halt. Because I could no longer just put the stuff in the garbage can because it was just too full. At some point in life, you have to deal with the garbage, the brokenness, the hurts. And that's what happened to me in May of 2005. The lid came off and everything just poured out. And I did not know how to put it all back in. I didn't know how to fix it. When the devil finds your weaknesses, he lies to you. But you are so broken and you're believing the worst about yourself already. You're in darkness. I was physically sick. I was mentally sick. My spiritual life was a mess. It got to the point where I ached every time I was touched. I could barely get out of the bed and go to work, and a lot of times I just simply couldn't. It got to the point where I could barely stand and walk. I finally just broke. I did not see any reason to be here, and the devil loves to hear that. I'm terrified of water. Being underwater to me is frightening. So how I was going to end my life was I was just going to one morning get up, go to work, and drive my car off the Southside Bridge. And each morning, the closer I would get, the devil would say, today is the day. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and be in pain and disappointment and hurt. All that bitterness will be gone. And you never have to feel this way again. The world will be better off without you. You don't bring anything to it anyway. Lies. But I bought them. Because see, the devil, you never see him. He only lives in darkness. And I was in nothing but darkness. I could not see the light anymore. I believed everything he said. And I was in so much pain, mentally and physically, that I just didn't want to go on any longer. And each morning I would get closer and closer and closer to that bridge. And I go, today's the day. And just before I would make that very fatal mistake, my daddy would pop into my mind. The Lord would say, how will your daddy be able to bury his only child? It will put him in a grave. Do you really want to put your daddy in a grave? So I would be strong one more day. It's like, well, I'm just going to get through this one more day. But tomorrow's the day. Thank God. Thank you, God. You gave me the strength each and every day to say one more day. Well, it had gotten to the point where I was very scared. As a Christian, you know that that's not how the Lord wants you to go. He has the plan. He has the time. He knows the date. No one else, not even the angels in heaven, know when we're coming home. I had enough of my faith still holding on by a thread that I reached out to one of my coworkers that she had gone through some things with her nieces. And I went and I talked with her. And I thank God for Julie Dillard every day. She made me go to the doctor. She made me call him right then. And she said, tell them that you are having these thoughts and that you're very sick and that you're very close to ending your life. Well, it was at the end of the day, and they said, is there any way you can come first thing in the morning? If not, you can come right now. Are you going to be okay until in the morning? And I said, yes. And I was there at 7 a.m. the next morning. They ran every test in the book. Yes, there were some medical issues, but I had a severe chemical imbalance. I was very depressed. I had several other medical issues that had to be addressed. You can fix some things with pills. And yes, I did take antidepressants for a while and anti-anxiety medicines. And there is no shame in that. If you are feeling this way, get help. You know how to reach me on social media. I will be more than happy to help and talk with you and pray with you about anything at any time. But it still takes time for the medicines to work. And I still had to go to the Lord to truly seek the spiritual help is as much as the physical. I was so sick. I couldn't get off the couch. I don't like being in the dark. My house is very bright. I always wear bright colors. I had every blind in my house pulled. I had no TV on, which is very unlike, I like noise going on. I had nothing. I did not, to see light was pain to my entire body. That is how low the devil had gotten to me. I was home. I'd called in sick. They knew. I eventually had to tell my boss what was going on. And thank you, God, for Linda and Steve for being so kind and patient and understanding and giving me that time when I needed it to be off, when I could not physically make it to work. I was lying in the room next to us, looking up at the ceiling in the dark. It was the middle of the day. By this time it was August. It was hot outside in Alabama. If you've ever been to Alabama, it's so hot. I'm freezing. I have the heat on. I have on a jogging suit. I have on all these blankets, and I am freezing cold. Where I was in bondage, and in that, as I call, on the outskirts of hell, I was in this, felt like I was in this murky water that was so cold. Even if I got in the shower with the hot water on, and it would never warm me up for weeks. I'm lying in there. I cannot lift my head. I cannot lift my body. I feel like I have all of these chains under this water. Cannot see any light. I am in such pain, such depression, such darkness that I cannot see what the rest of the world sees. I was believing the devil's lies. And he does not come to you in the Hollywood version of the little red man with horns and a tail. You never see him. He does all of his deeds in the darkness. God, on the other hand, is very different. The devil is not some creepy voice that you hear in these horror movies. He is the smoothest talker. He tells you everything that you have ever wanted to hear. And he can make you believe it, almost to the point where you take your life. And so many do. Their faith is not as strong as mine was, and they give in. I am begging you, do not believe these lies. Don't give in, don't give up. There is so much life to live. I thought my life was over at 29. My life had not even begun. The people that are closest to me in my life now were not even, I had never even met them yet. The things that I've got to do in the past 16 years has been amazing. I am begging you, if you are on the verge of any of this, to please be strong for another day. When I couldn't raise up, I didn't want to go on. What little bit of life I had left in me, what little bit of strength, I called out to my Father in heaven, lying on a couch in that room next to me. And I said as loud and as powerful as I could, God, make me better or bring me home, because I cannot take this any longer. See, the devil is a smooth talker, and he's telling you lies. He's telling you what you want to hear. Your Father in heaven loves you. He loves you more than anything. He sent his only Son to die for you and me and everyone else. His words were very stern and very powerful, as a concerned parent should be. He said, you didn't get in this mess overnight, and you are not going to get better overnight. But if you will take my hand and you get up and trust me and follow what I'm telling you to do, I will get you through this. And the best is yet to come. I did not make you weak. So get up. Go take a shower. Take a deep breath. But the choice is yours. You can go and live eternity in hell that you are in right now. You think this is bad, hell's going to be worse. Or you can get up and put the time in to clean up all of this, holding my hand and doing as I have called you to do since you were a little girl. And I have told you I will never forsake you. You have to trust me and believe and follow and obey me. I kid you not. I said, Father, I do. I'm willing to put the work in. I trust and I believe in what you say. The blinds were all closed as tight as you could be. And in that moment, my whole house lit up. That is the love and light of Christ. He let me know he was here. I could feel him take me in his arms and lifted me up out of that darkness. And 16 years later, I am getting more healed each and every day. I beg you, don't give up. Seek help. There is no shame in getting help. There is no shame in taking medication if you need it. I am here if you need to talk. If you have family members. I couldn't go to my family. They didn't understand. Like I said, you were always told to just suck it up and go on. I couldn't do that. I'm not built that way. And at some point in time, you have to deal with your baggage. Let me give you a word of advice today. Start this habit today. When things come up and you want to shove them to the side because you don't want to deal with them immediately, because waiting makes it 10 times harder. Deal with it now. Don't let it sit there. Don't keep pushing it down. Deal with it now. I got up that day. I took a shower. I ate. Next day I went to work. I go a different way to work now, or I come home a different way from work now. I see that bridge each and every day, at least twice a day. The bridge that I was going to kill myself on. I see it from a different perspective now. I have hope, joy, love, and expectations of greatness because my Father has promised it, and He has never let me down. The world will let you down. People will let you down. God will never let you down if you trust, believe, and obey His guidance. His plan is for good. Some would say, well, if God loved you so much, why did you go through such a time? I made those mistakes. I went through those things. And He wastes nothing. So whatever I went through in my life, and especially what I went through 16 years ago, is so I can help someone now. Yes, this is hard to talk about, but it is worth it to help. If it helps one person, I may never know who that person is, and it doesn't matter. God told me to do it, and I'm sitting here telling my story. It took a long time. There's been many, many more chapters of good and bad, because that's the ebbs and flows of life on earth. Until we get to heaven, we will never have a life of being pain-free, disappointments. It's just going to happen. But there's also, He gives us those glimpses of heaven. And He gets us through those bad times. And good times don't last, but bad times don't either. I can tell you now, I have survived all my best days and all my worst days, and so have you. And if you stay strong, focused, and faithful, as my therapist told me, I don't care how many times a day you have to say that, to drill that into your head. If it keeps you going, you must stay strong, focused, and faithful to God's plan for your life, because He has a great plan for your life, just as He did for mine. And I get up every day now. Not every day is a good day. You know, I share the goods and the bad. But I get up with joyful expectation to read the next page in the chapter of my life. I am so thankful that I am still here. I am thankful for the people that He's brought into my life in the past 16 years. And I look forward to, if I have another 16 or another 60, I look forward to that and seeing where that path takes me. Whatever you're going through today, there is help and there is hope through the love of Jesus Christ.